October 26, 2020, Village of Lake Park and Recreation Commission meeting to order. We have one person that has asked to speak at our meeting tonight. We have Constance Newton.
Village of Lake Park and Recreation Commission meeting to order.
That's weird.
You're recording.
Asked to speak at our meeting tonight.
Some feedback.
The delay.
Asked to speak at our meeting tonight.
The loop.
We've not had that problem before.
Asked to speak at our meeting tonight.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, testing the audio.
Turn your audio down and see if that helps.
Well, I just tried to mute it.
Okay. Okay, we can hear you in a minute.
Okay.
Ask Julian if we can hear you.
Julian, can you hear me? Will?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you also. I can hear you.
We had some feedback here. I don't know. All right, we've called the meeting to order. And as I mentioned, we have a resident that would like to speak this evening, Miss Constance Newton. And I'm going to swap places with her so she can come up here and speak.
Thank you all for giving me an opportunity to share. My name is Constance Newton, and I think I'll open with a couple sayings. You know, we often hear things like, don't let them see you sweat, or fake it till you make it. And one of the things that I've noticed since I came here a few months ago is there is some of that. And at the same time, people are coming forward with concerns. I was at the Potato Drive a few weeks ago, as many know, it was held here. And I was very surprised by some of the volunteers saying to me things like, you know, I'm here doing this to help those that are in need, and I'm struggling to make sure I can put food on the table of my family. So comments like that. And that's echoed since I've arrived, with people saying things like, my water's been turned off, do you mind? Or, you know, requests for whatever food. And it breaks my heart. I also know that that is part of what is going on in our whole culture right now, not just here in Lake Park. So as Thanksgiving approached, I asked the Honorable David Cleveland what might be happening here. Because I think a lot of people may not want to run out to another community and you know, approach about what's happened. Because I think many people were doing well prior to the pandemic. And then things like, well, my daughter had to move home and her kids are living with us. And I think without making that a negative thing, right? Family is really warm and wonderful. The challenge is obviously financial. And the other side of it is people who have some funds but are not comfortable going shopping. So I hear people say things like, you know, my refrigerator's empty. I don't want to go to the supermarket right now. You know, I'm susceptible. So with those concerns in mind, I wondered if we might have something here local perhaps when I had spoken about speaking here, one idea was perhaps like a community cupboard housed here, perhaps. And I was thinking that we could do a request for just Thanksgiving to see if there is in fact people that would come forward both to donate and then those who might take part. So making a list of basic things that we would ask for: carrots, sweet potatoes, gravy, mushrooms, bags of cranberries, whole apples, just for fun. And totally just for fun, I'm a little bit nerdy. I created a mock flyer of what it might look like. And the opening not being about if you need help or if you need, because again, I think that there are people that might be hesitant to go outside the community for fear of what does that mean if I say I need help, or what does that mean? So, it just opens with, for those who have plenty who can share, please donate. And for those who might be feeling their tables are a bit sparse, you would be able to pick up these items, from the table. That was just for fun. I recognize that this is something that would have to be approved, so to speak. But just the idea that possibly we create something and see if there would be leftovers, perhaps we would then donate it to Common Heart. And if there's not, we might know how to go forward for the holiday season come December. I just was seeing a need. Just like I said, I think there was a lot of stability, but the pandemic has created instability, either in people's pantries because they're not excited to go shopping or don't have the means. I had somebody tell me that they haven't been able to fix their family car where they have children. And so getting out to get groceries has been a challenge. So, I have compassion for that, and we are a pretty walkable community. So in terms of being able to walk over here and grab something, I think it would be a little bit easier than trying to make it to, let's say, Food Lion. And then, in terms of getting the news out, I think, it would be important to keep it local, not extending it outside of our community, keeping it small. So if we couldn't send out a new flyer, perhaps it would be just posting the flyer in maybe bulletins, or seeing if any of the shop owners would post something, just so it stayed local. So that was my initial thought. I think I'll turn the chair back over and see, if that's something you all feel also resonates. But thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Newton. Appreciate your comments this evening. Julian or Will, do you have any thoughts on this?
This is Will. I mean, I don't have anything negative to say about it. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, this is Julian. I think it's a great idea. I was just wondering, how do we incorporate it as far as logistics? I like the idea. It's something that I definitely believe in, but how do we get the volunteers, the logistics, to coordinate the need to the offerings, the storing? I'm just wondering the how with the execution.
Right. Yeah, I certainly don't want to dampen anybody's enthusiasm for a good cause. I did, since we've talked on the phone, I have talked to Angie Figueroa a little bit about this, and she's fairly familiar with some of the process that Common Heart has to go through. If you want to share some of the things that I hate to say present obstacles, but they are things that we would have to take into consideration in order to do that, as far as a cupboard, for example. And if you want to share some of your thoughts on.
When you post or store food or food pantry, you must follow the Union County Health Guidelines. Inspections, you have to make sure that you food, outdated food. If it's in any way perishable, it has to be at the right temperature, so that you're not getting someone. Vegetables are, must have a refrigerator if they're gonna give out fresh produce. So it's not that we won't do it or can't do it, it's just the logistics is huge and we are so close to the Thanksgiving season. Maybe we do we can turn it around into non-perishables, putting a turkey bag together with rice, canned gravy, green beans, stuffing mix. And then maybe one of the churches or one of the bigger communities can host turkeys and stuff. I know, they used to do a cookie drive on the heart of massive Thanksgiving meal. They fed 1,200 last year alone. It was massive. And I know they are going to be doing more. Carol Loft would be a great resource for us to get involved with, and learn from her before we try to do it here. I think our community would benefit from Common Heart and go that direction. But we would have to, I think we would have to research. I don't think we can do it quickly and do it successfully without hurting someone's feelings or making someone sick. That's my biggest concern with the fresh produce.
Yeah. The other thing that this afternoon, I received an email from Union County government that the Union County Food Bank is doing a major drive right now until I think November 20th or something like that. And looking for similar donations to what you're talking about. And I'd be glad to share that email with you. I did post it on one of the Lake Park Facebook pages to let the community know of that need. Again, I'd be glad to share that information with you. Maybe
Canned food drive, we need a canned food drive for the community and donate that to Common Heart or the Union County Shelter.
If you feel that, it sounds like that's what I'm hearing, that there are resources out there that people can get to and it's not going to be an issue, you know, with families who come together and they can go to Common Heart for the meal, then that's fine with me. I just was concerned that, you know, transportation being a challenge, families who come together, support one another, living, you know, together, and who might not feel comfortable then going outside the community to a place like Common Heart. And so I hear you saying, no, that there are other resources, and as long as that will be provided for the community, then my idea doesn't need to happen. I just was concerned because I felt I was hearing.
Yeah, Common Heart is just like a pantry, like a cupboard. So it goes through, and I think they let you walk through and shop. Because if you're gluten free or if you've got allergies, they don't just give you a standard box. You can kind of go through and I can eat that, I can't eat that.
But is there transportation for people who?
I'm sure Keith and Kara would come get anybody that needed it.
Okay.
They also have 10 locations.
Uh,
And they have volunteers that sort pantries, clean up pantries. Oh my gosh.
Hey, Mayor. Hello, Mayor. This is Julian.
Yes, Julian.
And I think maybe a lot of the members of our community may not know about the resources. So, and it seems like Angie already has a long list of resources. Didn't know if we could put together maybe a list and put it in a newsletter, put it on a website, just for people who may not have been in the situation to go outside of the community for help. If they would look to us first, if we have a list for them to go to with information, maybe that's something we could put on our social media.
Yeah, that's a very good suggestion. We could use the newsletter. We can use our Facebook pages, the official village Facebook pages. And also would mention that these organizations are always looking for volunteers. I know I'm on Common Heart's mail list, and every other week they'll put out a feeler for people that could volunteer to deliver food or help sort food, that type of thing. So there are opportunities to serve as well as be served with some of these organizations. So,
Thank you both. I appreciate that. I appreciate the resources you found and for, going forward. Great.
okay. Well, thanks again for coming and sharing your ideas. We appreciate that. All right, let's move on to item number 3, approval of minutes. Sheree did send out the last month's minutes in her package to each of the commissioners. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
This is Will. I'll make a motion.
Okay, Will has made the motion. Is there a second?
This is Julian, our second.
Okay, this is going to be easy this evening. Yeah, Angie says stay in that order. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Will, aye.
Jillian,
Aye.
motion is carried. Thank you. We had several late changes to the agenda. Sheree did email those changes out mid-afternoon. I don't know if everyone had a chance to see the changes. Julian or Will, did you both see the changes?
Yes.
I did. Yes.
Okay, great. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
This is Will. I'll make a motion.
This is Julian, our second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by stating your name, aye or nay.
Will, aye.
Julian, aye.
Motion is carried.
Gold star for following directions.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, moving on to item number 5, council actions. Council did approve the $2,000 that we recommended for fall shrub and tree plantings. They also approved the $12,460 for Christmas tree light installation. And we had a discussion about the tennis court timer, and they referred that back to Park and Rec for further discussion this evening. And we'll discuss that later in the agenda. Item number 6, the budget report. This is a summary. You have received the detailed budget report. Really nothing unusual yet this so far into the year. Any questions or comments about the budget?
This is Will, no.
No.
All right. Moving on. Events. Okay, Angie, let you speak about the Christmas tree lighting, which would be scheduled for December 6th. I think we do need to discuss the time. I'll give Angie the floor.
Okay, David's gonna help me with the slides for a couple of these things also. So we have a community member named John Sharp, who is an actual Grammy winner, who lives in Lake Park, and he's willing to play music for us for our tree lighting entertainment. He's very good, very Frank Sinatra, very crony type voice. If you click on that YouTube link, you can actually listen. Hopefully it'll work. So that's his sound. I think it's kind of perfect for a Christmas tree lighting, if you guys agree. I 6:30 to 8 and letting, he's also willing to ask if anyone in the audience would like to come up and try and sing Christmas carols with him. About some of the kids, he might could do Rudolph and stuff like that with some of the kids. He has a small sound system and he just needs access to electricity, which we could do that like we did for Amber.
Yeah.
So the power is not the issue, and we could also pull out our sound system if we needed more ampage for him. Any questions about Don so far? Nope.
I think his,
No, sounds good.
yeah, it sounds very good. I mean, I can just imagine him singing some Christmas carols that would be very enjoyable. I think that we need to come back to the question of the time, both for the event and for him to be playing. You've got 6:30 to 8. Normally, when the HOA is sponsoring carriage rides and hot chocolate and so forth, we start around probably 5:30. And we usually try to do the actual tree lighting about 6 o'clock. So, I'm wondering if we should have him maybe 6 to 7:30. I don't know how long people will hang around just to listen to music.
It's gonna be depending on the weather. I
Yeah.
think more crowds will come a little bit later, is the reason I did 6:30. I figure everybody could have dinner, and then it's gonna be dark enough for them to see the lights on the tree, light the tree, 6:15-ish or so, 6:30-ish. And then he could play from then on. If it's raining, then the ball goes away. But I think if we kind of give people time to go home, settle in, get their dinner, because we're not gonna have carriage rides, so
Right.
it'll be him playing music and the tree lighting, and
Okay.
don't think, I was not doing any kind of kids crafts or anything this year because we don't have the space.
Yeah, okay.
But we could do a
Judy?
hometown hero this year.
No, we don't, but I want to comment about somebody to light the tree. We'll get to that.
I had contacted the Christmas Bureau and they did not get back to me in time to let me know the cutoff for accepting angels. We could sponsor an angel tree or a stocking and get people to bring their stockings to the tree lighting to turn in. Other than that, it's come up, turn on the lights and enjoy the music.
What about cookies or refreshments or?
Well, that's the next
Yeah.
thing. Well, right now, John is $100 for the night. If we book him and we cancel, not him canceling, it's $35, and he did ask to sell his CDs at the event. I said I wasn't sure about that, I would have to check. So next slide.
Well, I guess first off, let's entertain a motion to contract with John Sharp for $100 for the Christmas tree lighting. Is there a motion?
Will, I'll make a motion.
Okay, Will
This
has
is
made a
Julian,
motion.
I'll second.
Julian has seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by stating your name and A or nay.
Will, aye.
Julian, I.
Okay, so we will go ahead and get him and we can, the times, I'm not sure anybody's gonna be around here at 8 o'clock at night, but, so I'm a little questioning the time.
Will we have Santa? We won't.
No, there'll be no Santa.
At what time? When is the tree lighting again? December what?
6th?
December 6th, time is up in the air. Okay, you wanna move it back? Eight's too late.
I mean, we
We can
can,
do 6 to 7:30.
I don't know, what, anybody have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think 8 is too late. I think 7:30 is 7.
Well, if he's playing at 7:15 and nobody's here, obviously he could wrap it up. So we could contract with him from 6 to 7:30. And again, if nobody's here at 7:15, call it a night.
All right, I'll ask what time to change. Are you okay with him?
This is Julian. I agree.
Okay. I don't have any issues with him selling his CDs. I don't think there's any violation of,
As long as he collects his own money, we can't.
yeah, we're not gonna handle the money. But that should be fine. Okay.
Okay, to go with the tree lighting, HOA always did hot cocoa and cookies. So this is my shortcut for the cookies. This is from Corey's Cakes here in Lake Park. Those are typical Christmas royal icing cookies. For her to make 300 of them for us, it's $900. They're like $3 per cookie. But that's not a tiny cookie, so you gotta imagine that as like a 4-inch cookie there. It's not a teeny tiny thing. Otherwise, I had asked her for chocolate chip and sugar cookies, but she doesn't make sugar cookies, so she could do chocolate chip and snickerdoodle cookies. Half and half, 150 chocolate chip, 150 snickerdoodles for $4.50. The good thing with Corey's is she can individually wrap them for us. If we go to Publix or Teeter or somewhere else, we would just get a tray and then we would have to either individually wrap them or tong them out or something to folks if we want to do cookies. And I was not going to do hot chocolate. I don't have the stuff to do hot chocolate. I'd have to go find carafes or percolators or whatever those things are called.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's called.
I would love to say that we've had 300 people, but we've never had that many people.
No. Yeah, I think 200 would be pushing it,
I
and
do
maybe
too.
100.
Well, considering that there's nothing else, so people aren't going to be lined up for the carriage rides or anything. I would think somewhere between 150 and 200 cookies would be plenty.
I would think so.
Now, the positive thing is we can turn around and donate what's not eaten, since they're individually wrapped. We can check with Common Heart and see if they'll take any leftovers we've got.
Yeah, or, I mean, we could even donate to the nursing home or,
Oh, yeah, the nursing home would be, Lake Park Nursing Home would be a great.
yeah, there's plenty of
Yeah,
places.
We can find a home for the cookies.
So maybe we should,
Don't think we do that.
maybe we should look at 200 cookies and, Will, Julian, do you have preference there as to what type cookies we offer?
I'd go for the top one, the half chocolate chip, half snickerdoodle. Plenty.
I was going to say the least expensive. So.
Well, I will say, we don't have anything going on for events, and we do have about $2,500 left in our budget for supplies. So I don't think we have to worry too much about getting scrimpy.
100 chocolate chips, snickerdoodle, 50/50, and 100 Christmas.
Are these for children or
Anybody.
adults?
Anybody.
You can have a cookie thin and mix them because the kids are little and frosted.
Yeah,
Well,
and you really think 200 is going to be enough? Okay.
yeah,
If it's not, we give out what we've got and we're done.
yeah, I mean, if we run out, we run out.
Am I hearing 200?
Pardon?
We used
I said, what was that number? Was that 200 instead of 300?
200, yes.
Okay.
I mean, if we have a huge crowd, we'll just say for children only.
Yeah, I just can't imagine we're gonna have more than 200.
I'll do 100 royal ice and 100
Not
chocolate.
unless you're bringing in a snow machine, you're gonna.
Yeah. Okay, everybody concur that we'll do 200 cookies, half and half?
When you say half and half, are you talking about the chocolate chip and snickerdoodles? 100
There'll
each?
be a fourth and a fourth, and then a 100 of the Christmas shapes.
I don't know about the Christmas shapes.
You don't know about that?
No, I don't. Will, I'm going with the top line, 100 and 100.
I'm okay with 100 of each. That's fine. We're not breaking any banks here, so.
So are you saying 300, Will?
No, I'd say 100 of each.
I think what Will is saying is 50 chocolate chip, 50 snickerdoodle, and 100 Christmas shapes. Is that what you're saying, Will?
I'd say no, 100 chocolate chip and 100 of the Christmas shape.
Nobody wants the royal icy ones. I got it. Okay.
Okay.
Chocolate chips, snickerdoodle it is.
Okay. Well, I love the Christmas shapes, but that's okay.
Well, Will actually Will said the Christmas shapes. So go with what you were saying at the beginning, Angie. I think you said 100 Christmas shapes and then 50 chocolate chip and 50 snickerdoodle. Was that it?
Yes, sir. That is, it's
Yep.
in the note.
Okay,
In the minutes,
okay.
we're done.
Yep.
let's do it.
This is Will.
We
I
just
agree
need
with
to-
that.
Yeah, we agree with Angie. Thank you, Angie.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, traditionally, we've had the hometown hero light the light. This year, we did not have 4th of July where we normally pick and announce the hometown hero. I'll throw out one suggestion, and my mind has gone blank on me, but we have a beauty pageant winner in the village that has offered to support various events. And I'm sorry, I just can't think of her name. No. Antoinette King. Antoinette King. And I haven't approached her about this, but I think she would be more than willing. In fact, she's extremely talented musically too. So maybe we could get her to sing with the other person. But that's one possibility. I'll just throw that one out. And if you have other suggestions, we can certainly entertain that.
That sounds good to me.
No objections.
Yeah, she lives in Lake Park. In fact, she lives very close to Miss Newton, I think. Pardon? Yeah. Well, I'll be glad to ask her. If she says no, then we can find somebody else. But, hopefully next year we'll be able to coordinate this with the hometown hero. Yeah. All right, continuing with the events, Angie, Toys for Tots.
Okay, Toys for Tots. we're not really encouraging folks to come in the building unless they had business for the building. Last year, we struggled to fill 3 boxes. Need will be even bigger this year. So I was thinking of entertaining the idea of sponsoring a gift tree or a stocking collection. And a gift tree is, we would call in and say how many angels, they used to call it the angel tree, but they don't call it the angel tree anymore. It's now called the gift tree. And you would pick a angel off of the tree, and on the back of that, it will either have a child or mature person, older person with essentials that they need for Christmas or would like if you get an older person, it's going to have cardigans, sweaters, sweatpants, bedroom shoes, toiletries, that kind of thing. If it's a child, it'll tell their age, their sizes, what Disney character, if any, they're into, and ideas. If they go to a private school, do they need school uniform stuff? Very detailed ideas. With those, I would have to create a list to keep up with the angel number, who checks it out, and then there's a deadline. That person that takes that angel takes it back to the Union County Christmas Bureau, not us.
There's not a collection.
And we could do it, but everything has to stay together for that child or that person, and it's numbered, and there's detailed instructions. You can't mess it up. It's super simple. You just put the number of your angel on every package that you get for that person, and you can wrap those. Whereas Toys for Tots, we can't wrap anything. That's the gift tree. There is Christmas stockings. It is literally that. It is a red mesh stocking, the size of any typical stocking we hang on our mantle. And you would fill it with small toys and goodies for either a girl or a boy. And again, the tag will tell you the age of the child and ideas. Crayons versus colored pencils and markers, Sharpies for teenagers, those kind of things. And then the goodies that you can put in there is any Christmas candies or any idea that you would like. Oh yeah, nothing homemade, everything has to be store-bought. Any kind of goodie, and you turn those stockings, we would collect those stockings and turn them in time. Ideas, comments, do we want to change it up? Julian, Will, David, anything?
I was just going to say that if we decided we wanted to continue with Toys for Tots, we maybe could set the collection box out in the front of the community center and then bring it in the evening.
Yeah, we can do
Well, it's only out there till noon,
that.
Well, even then,
4 days a week.
yeah. And,
Like today, if someone's here, we could leave it out.
yeah, I mean, I'm not advocating the Toys for Tots. I'm just saying that would be one way to work around having people come into the community center.
How many, you think we'd have a decent group of people that would be willing to take an angel?
You can only check out so many, but I think so. Usually those are easier because you get to go shopping on your own. You can go buy with that person whatever you want. We can do half and half. We can do a small tree, test it out, and do Toys for Tots. I'm open to it. I know the league is going to be humongous this year.
Yeah.
The thing with the angel tree is you've got to make sure that person gets their stuff back. Like Gloria will help me keep track of, hey, they haven't turned it in yet. They haven't turned it in yet. And if you don't turn it in, then they scurry and go get that person. So, but I don't think we would have that in Lake Park. I think if somebody took an angel, they're going to complete it all the way. And with Gloria's to-do list and my to-do list, we can make it super simple for them. The stockings is are added to the Toys for Tots bags they get.
What provisions we have for people who go shopping, that we can.
I'll take your money and shop for you.
There's Toys for Tots has a link, you can actually.
There are a lot of them. Just
Yeah.
go shopping is torture.
Well,
Toys for Tots always gives us a cash box and you can drop cash down in there and they will go buy toys. If they have a family that signs up last minute, they'll run out and get something like, I know last year when I volunteered, the night we closed up everything, a family of 4 came in. They pick what they can. There's also a link that you can use a credit card on Toys for Tots website that we always post. And you can sit at your home computer and not have to leave a thing, and it supports everything.
Yeah.
The applications have started way back in September, so they've already started collecting everything. The Toys for Tots drive will probably be through the first week of December, and then that's it. They have sorted and picked and bagged and got these ready for those kids by December.
is it too much for you to handle Toys for Tots and the Angel Tree?
No, because Toys for Tots, you just drop it in the box.
Okay.
And then I'm assuming we've made it in time to be an Angel Tree. So again, I'm waiting for them to call me back.
Julian or Will, any thoughts?
I like Toys for Tots, but if Angie's able to do both, I would definitely support both. So again, I want to see how much heavy lifting Angie is able to do.
I think Toys for Tots, if that's your thing, do it. Don't get an Angel too. I think either or.
Oh, okay.
Right. I mean, I just like Toys for Tots just because of the history with Toys for Tots. It's run by the United States Marine Corps Reserves. Just that history. I don't know the other history. That's just me.
Yeah. Bob, we've had him for 5 years now, so our Marine that brings us the boxes and comes and collects them. So it's definitely good.
And it's not too late to sign up for that?
No, Bob's ready. He's waiting on me to call him tomorrow.
Okay.
I dropped the ball and forgot to
Okay.
bring this up.
So consensus is we just stick with Toys for Tots? Is that okay?
No, I thought we were also gonna do an Angel Tree.
What?
We can do a small Angel Tree.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
No, I'm saying he can do either one. Yeah, let's try it.
Try both?
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm going to defer to Angie's bandwidth.
Okay, we will do Toys for Tots, and we will see if it's not too late, we'll do the Angel Tree. Pardon?
25 Angels.
25, okay.
25.
All right. Moving on, Girls on the Run. Girls on the Run has requested that they can hold their event, that's Girls on the Run of Union County, on April 24th, 2021. They have checked with the sheriff's office. We'll send the deputies out here to make sure that they can cross the Faith Church Road safely. So we just need approval to let them hold their event on April 24th. Is there a motion for that?
This is Will. I'll make a motion.
This is Julian, our second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Will, I.
Julian, aye.
Motion is carried.
We're gonna skip the helper app.
Okay, we had some discussion about the helper app last week, but it's not going anywhere, so we'll move on. Recreational facilities. What happened before the council meeting? Park and Rec last month approved spending $1,397 for a incremental timer that could be located inside the tennis court. The concern that was shared was that it's a safety issue for people to walk around outside the tennis court over to the current switch location on the outside of the pump house. So Park and Rec recommended that we do go with the remote timer. What transpired was I did a little bit of checking on the lights, and the LED lights, but each light, there's 2 lights, and each light is only 150 watts. And ran some calculations that if we just leave those lights on from dusk till 9 o'clock, 9 months of the year, it would only cost us about $40 in electricity. So, you know, there's like a 35-year payback to offset that $1,400 that we would pay for the timer. Since the council meeting, and council suggested that we just try that for a couple weeks. So I did set the timer on at dusk and go off at 9 p.m. every night. A few nights ago, I talked to one of the residents on Craft that is adjacent to the tennis courts, and she gently complained that she did not appreciate those lights being on every night. I took a picture of her house. It does light up her yard pretty good, as well as it does shine in her windows. So she would prefer that we didn't have the lights on every night. I talked to her neighbor on Saturday who was having a garage sale. She said it didn't bother her at all. So, so we got, you know, 2 varying opinions there. I also had an opportunity to speak to one of the families that is using the tennis courts at night. And I had been trying to monitor to see if there was any usage, and I usually would come by around 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and I never saw anybody out there. So I was beginning to question the value of either leaving the lights on or purchasing the remote timer. But I met Julian up here Friday in the evening, I think it was around 6:30, and there were 2 parties over there playing pickleball. And I got a chance to speak to one of them, and they said that they've been playing a couple of nights a week. And the lady's husbands didn't get off work till 5:30, so she said, you know, they'd come over here 6:30 and play for an hour or so. So they did use and did appreciate the lights on the tennis courts. This particular lady that I spoke to said she didn't have any concerns about walking around the tennis courts to turn on the lights if we chose to not put in the remote timer. It's kind of up in the air. I did get a response from Jeremy, who can't be here this evening. He still was in favor of putting in the remote timer just from a safety standpoint. We mentioned that we did have another quote around $500 initially for just making it an incremental timer, but leaving it over on the outside of the pump house. But those are some of our options. I'd like to get some feedback and what your thoughts are on this.
This is Will. So at the end of the day, it comes down to homeowner or user safety. As for me, I mean, yeah, there may be some that don't mind going around turning it on, but I still think that incrementally, it just will get to be an annoyance if you have to go over there every so often to click it back on. I'm not for having it just on all the time and turn off at 9 o'clock. So I'm thinking about the resident safety. I mean, that's, for me, that would be number one. So I'm still for the timer being added.
Okay. Julian, you have any thoughts?
Again, same thinking as far as with the safety. One slip and fall is the timer is taken care of. So again, without having somebody, the frequency of having somebody going over there to turn it off, turn it on, we just increasing the risk of somebody tripping, falling, going over there to get it done. So I'm still in favor of the timer.
Okay.
Now, as far as when you said the option of $500, what was that $500 timer? Or could you recap what that difference was?
It's an incremental timer, just like the one that we would locate remotely, but it would be located on the outside of the pump house where the current switch is. So that doesn't address safety at all. It just provides for an incremental timer, which I don't think that's a viable option at this point. Its only advantage is that you wouldn't have to have the lights come on every night. You can go over there and plug in 45 minutes and it'll automatically shut off. So it would save somebody from having to walk over there twice, once to turn the lights on, once to turn them off. But I don't see the justification for that. In addition to safety, I will say that if we do locate an incremental timer inside the tennis courts, it does kind of get rid of the problem of the lights being on the residents' houses, except when somebody's actually using the courts. And my feeling is that people aren't going to be using those tennis courts much after 8 o'clock at night, anytime, except during the summer. So the other comment I was going to make, if we didn't go with the incremental timer, was that maybe we should just have the lights come on at dusk and go off at 8 o'clock at night. But what I'm hearing is that both Julian and Will, as well as Jeremy on his comments, feel that safety is a priority and we probably should go with the remote timer. If that's the case, is there a motion to do that?
Will, I make the motion.
This is Julian. I second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye or nay.
Will, aye.
Julian, aye.
Okay, motion is carried. We'll take that back to council at the next council meeting. Okay, Julian and Angie have been working on some new signage for the tennis courts, and I apologize, the new sign is getting covered up here with the pictures of our attendees. Julian, do you want to address this, or Angie, either one of you?
Yeah, looking at the sign that's out there, it's dated or it's little worn. So we'll be looking to go with a new sign. I think the dimensions it's an aluminum sign, 3x4. Cost will be $100 with the new verbiage on the right. And I think the price will be $100 with a 48 hours turnaround time. So it's relatively quickly to make a decision on it, as far as to ensure everyone is able to understand what the rules are and replace the worn looking sign.
Did you say it was 3 foot by 4 foot?
Yes.
Okay. Would the type be larger on the actual sign than what's shown on the example?
I can formatted to the actual body of it. We can make the font as bigger as we need it. And we also need to adjust the court hours.
Well, I was wondering about that. Right now, Park and Rec agreed to go from dawn until 9 o'clock during the school year and from dawn until 10 o'clock during the summer months. Do we want to change that? Do we want to leave the hours off this sign? How do we want to handle the hours?
Well, if both sets of times are not really going to be changed, then I'd just use it both.
Did you say you would post both of them, Will?
I would.
And I don't think we've ever addressed the start time. The parks are open from dawn. Do we want to set a time for the courts to be used?
We can reverse it and say courts close at 9 p.m. during winter months, close at 10
Yeah, that's probably better.
instead of hours. Just put courts
Yeah.
close at
Okay.
9 p.m. during winter months, 10 p.m. during summer. Is that what you said?
Did you want to spell out the month specifically? Or are we getting too much?
Well, you could say June through August.
Or daylight savings versus,
No, it doesn't have anything to do with daylight savings because school year is, I mean, we're basing it on the school year.
right? But the courts run by light. So,
Well, but the reasoning that we came up with school year closing at 9 is that we didn't want during the school year, people out there playing at 10 o'clock at night.
So they'll have access to the website. So if we say you can be on there till 10, do them turn on the light, play, they can turn on the light.
And that was the reasoning initially. So if we say courts closed at 9, September through May, and close at 10, June through August. I don't know, Julian, what do you think?
I was going to say I'm not familiar with what was current, so whatever makes sense as far as 9 or 10. I'm good with spelling out the months, and we could. I'll let Angie determine the months, the 9 p.m. months and the 10 p.m. months.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any concern about closing at 9 year round, but it is still a little bit of daylight in the summer with daylight savings time. It's still daylight 9:30, but I don't know that we would strictly enforce that even if we said 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it's probably just going to be a guide as far as when we want people cleared out, and if anybody's out there past that time, that will give us a reason to direct them that it's time to go. Yeah,
I mean, if there's somebody out there at 10 o'clock at night or 10:30 at night, you could always say, sorry, it's posted, the court's closed at 9 o'clock.
I thought you could override with the timer, even with your switch when they turn it on. I
Yes.
thought you had a point that
Yes, you
you're
can.
done.
You can, and we will.
So,
And so the question is, do you want to have that master switch turn off at 9 period?
Or, yeah, or if you wanna change it those 2 or 3 months, you can make it, till 10. But, or you could just do 9 o'clock. I'll go 9 o'clock. Cause you've got people across the street, sitting in our office, we hear them playing pickleball
Yeah.
all the time. So I'm assuming that the neighbor, they're actually as close as we are. They're hearing it in their house.
Yeah. Is everyone
I'm
okay
good.
with?
I was gonna say, I'm good with keeping it at 9 o'clock year round, and if what we
Okay.
choose to enforce after that, it will be a decision later on. But I'm good with 9.
Okay. You okay with that, Will?
I am.
Okay.
Play by ear.
So we will say court hours dawn to 9 p.m. Or do you want to go with 8?
Dawn to 9 is good.
Or just courts close at 9
Let's
p.m.
close at 9.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Sign looks good, Julian.
No, it's real clean.
I guess we need a motion to approve the new tennis court signage. Is there a motion?
This is Will. I'll make a motion.
Yeah, Will has made the motion.
This is Julian, I'll second.
All those in favor of purchasing new signage for the tennis court signify by saying aye.
Will, I.
Julian, aye.
Motion is carried. All right. In my conversation with one of the families that was playing in the evening, they said it was very difficult to play down on this end of the court. And this is pickleball. Because if a ball is volleyed over the net with any kind of altitude, the light is shining right in your face. And of course, there's uneven light across there as well. And the recommendation and the question they wanted me to bring to Park and Rec was, could we not put pickleball markings down on the pool end of the tennis courts? And there's very even lighting then down there, and I was out there and I had to agree. And then the residents, if they had the markings there, the residents could bring portable nets, which in this case they did already have. And they could play back and forth this way. As I recall, we paid around $600 for the pickleball markings out here. So, pardon?
Per court. It was
No.
600 per court.
No, that was total. Yeah, I'm positive we didn't pay $1,200 for that.
We had some prices that were that high.
Yeah. So we're probably looking in the range of $300 to do this. Is it worth it? I will say that especially with the COVID-19 situation, the tennis courts and the pickleball courts are getting a lot of use. It's really, in my opinion, great to see people out there able to take advantage of the courts. We're not talking a lot of money to add that enhancement to the court, but wanted to present that to the commission for your comments and thoughts.
Has there been a need for other pickleball players, or was this just a request of one, or how does the pickleball community feel with the addition or as is versus, yeah?
There's certainly been no survey and I haven't gotten a lot of feedback. So this was just the night that there were two parties out there playing. One of the parties brought this up to me. Yeah, this would be an enhancement to the existing courts.
Is it possible to have the light head redirected on the top of the pole and pushed down instead of an angle?
That's certainly possible. What that does to the rest of the court, I don't know. Now, if you're out there playing tennis, you want as much light across the whole courts as possible. And you don't normally with tennis have the issue with the ball being very high like you do with pickleball. So tennis is a little bit different situation, and you may ruin it for tennis if you point the lights more down.
David, are these people that,
Yes, they are. Well,
I understand there's a group that comes from Monroe constantly.
yeah, I mean, I know during the day they come from surrounding communities. This particular lady that I talked to lived in Lake Park. So, any other questions or thoughts?
This is Will, my 2 cents is that we've already invested in marking the 2 courts appropriately. I mean, we can't possibly change everything to fit absolutely everybody's request. I mean, I think it'd be more that's just more lines that are going out there in between 2 courts. I think it just add a little bit more confusion in my mind.
I did go. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wouldn't be for just keeping adding lines out there just to fit every single possible scenario.
Yeah, I did go out there today and I measured off if you put pickleball lines on that end of the court, it would overlap some onto the tennis court lines. But again, these are muted green, so there's really not a lot of confusion as to what's pickleball and what's tennis court. And just measuring it, the pickleball line could be about 6 feet from the fence and would still be about 12 feet from the existing pickleball lines. So I don't think there would be a lot of confusion. Because right now there isn't much confusion between the tennis court lines and the pickleball lines. They're pretty distinct. I was just trying to look quickly what Jeremy had to say about it. He said I would be in favor of striping the courts for pickleball, as mentioned. So that's his 2 cents.
This is Julian. At this time, I'm not in favor of it, so I'm not sure if there'll be a motion. It will get a second, but I'll defer to Will on that one.
As far as your diagram and your picture there, Mayor, so the white is showing kind of what that would look like?
Yeah, roughly. I did that before I went out and measured. It would be a little bit, I'll say wider, more to the left and a little bit more to the right. It would almost be to the center line of the tennis courts, left and right. It's about correct as far as the depth into the courts, but it would be a little bit wider.
All right, so another question would be, so if there are 2 teams that wish to play pickleball and they're using each court, is it where a third can play in that area? Or would there be overlap?
Messy. There would not be overlap, but it probably would not work real well. No.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of it.
Okay. All right. It doesn't look like we'll get a motion or a second, so we'll move on. Okay. Thank you. Another issue that has come up is the opening of the basketball courts. Governor did extend phase 3 until November 13th. We have been getting some requests to open the basketball court. Question is, do we want to wait, or do we want to go ahead and open them at this time? Thoughts on that?
I'd go with the ordinance. So if it's extended to November 13th, I think we need to wait.
Okay. Will?
This is Julian. I agree.
I mean, Julian? I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is Julian. I would go by the ordinance. Whatever the governor puts out, that's the guidance we follow.
All right, we'll just bring that up at our November meeting again after, hopefully we get out of phase 3, but maybe not the way things look. Okay. Julian was kind enough to volunteer to man the fogger to disinfect the playgrounds. He picked up the equipment last Friday. Have you had a chance to use it, Julian?
The equipment was picked up on Friday. Have not had an opportunity to use it. Between me and my 16-year-old, we'll get out there. In addition to that equipment, I have some that we utilize at work. It's a mister. So between 2 battery-powered mister and a fogger, we should be able to make pretty light work of it.
Okay, that sounds great. Yeah, and it rained all day Sunday, so yeah, that kind of cut into the weekend.
Yeah, the intent was to do it on Sunday. Yeah. The intent was to do it on Sunday, but the rain changed it.
Yeah, right. Let me ask you about your mister. Is that something that can be used indoors?
Yes, it can be used indoors. It has a misting nozzle to be utilized for spray down. I haven't compared the mist to the fogger, but I'm in manufacturing, so we've misted a production and manufacturing operations multiple times. Same as spraying.
Okay, is that something that you would be allowed to use for the community center, for example?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We may want to discuss that with you. We've got the elections being held here November 3rd, and there's concern about disinfecting the community center. We are having the cleaning people come in after the election, but it might be something we would certainly want to consider to keep our office staff safe after we've had that many people come through. So
we got it covered. We've kept manufacturing associates safe during COVID-19 at my location, so we got the protocols in place.
okay, that's great. And thank you for volunteering to do the playgrounds. All right. Staying in that same vein, we've got under facilities, we so far have not been renting the community room in the community center. I don't think we want to open them up since we're still in phase 3, but I would welcome your comments.
Same for me. This is Will. Same protocol. I mean, I think we need to wait till after November 13th.
Yeah, we'll bring that up.
Julian, same answer.
Yeah, we'll bring that up again in our November meeting. Joe wasn't able to be here this evening. I was going to ask Joe if he would take the responsibility of repairing our benches throughout the village. But I did email him, and he said he'd be more than happy to do that. This is a bench over on Logan Circle that I saw today. So I'm going to show him where the slats are, show him how we go about changing out slats and repairing benches as needed. And wanted to thank Joe McCauley for volunteering to be our bench man.
So this is Will question that the wood for that. What is that? Is that pine or what is hickory? What is the wood?
Cypress,
That's cypress. Okay.
yeah. And we order the slats from the people that make the Charleston battery benches.
Okay.
In the past, quite a number of years back, we have tried to fabricate them, I think with pine, and they just don't hold up. So we have always, every year we've ordered extra slats so we can repair as needed.
10-4.
Also, when I was out today, I noticed there was some, I'll call vandalism over at Matheson Square gazebo. I don't know what in the world got sprayed up at the top of one of the columns, or it, Sri thinks it could very easily be a paintball splatter up there. But I also noticed around some of the other columns and up around the edge inside, there's a lot of mold and mildew. So I think we need to pressure wash the gazebo, get it cleaned up, especially before we start putting up Christmas decorations. Can't imagine it would cost more than $200 to get it pressure washed. So I would like to entertain a motion to approve spending $200 to pressure wash the gazebo.
This is Will. I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
This is Julian, I second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
It's Will, aye.
Julian, I.
Okay, motion is carried. All right, going on to landscaping. There's a little bit of old business here. A couple of months back, we approved spending $1,000 to seed and grass, or excuse me, seed and straw over the areas where trees were removed and stumps were ground. Will and I have since looked at some of these areas and determined that we want to plant trees back in the same spot anyway, so there's no point in putting grass down. But also since then, we've taken 2 trees out, actually 4 trees out on Sages Avenue. And 2 of them, we do not want to put trees back in. So right now we've got a net of 6 trees instead of 8 that we originally had gotten a price on. So I've talked to Lucas, and they're basically charging $125 per location. So instead of the $1,000 that we approved, we're down to $750 for that. We've also identified, thanks to Angie out on her walks, found a couple more dead trees in Russell Park. And I got a quote this week from, or last week, from Kiker Tree Service to remove those 2 trees and grind the stumps for $800. Would entertain a motion to approve that.
This is Will. I'll make a motion.
This is Julian, I second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Will, aye.
Julian, I.
Okay, motion is carried. This is just pretty much information. Last month, we approved the $2,000 for fall tree and shrub planting. Council approved that. This is just a quick overview of where some of those trees will be planted, as well as some of the bigger shrubs. Bobby Lane, Bobby Lane is one of the locations where we thought we were just going to grass over and decided we really need to replace those trees. Founders Park was another location, the same thing. And then down on the Hoover Park, instead of grassing that area, we're gonna replace the holly or put in a holly down there. Is there any questions about this? Comments?
Oh, this is Will. The only thing that other diagram you sent, Mayor,
Yep.
it
Yes.
showed for the Lake Charles Pier. I think it showed Holly, Nellie, I think.
Nellie Stevens, yes. That was the
You couldn't find the other one?
recommendation. I think you had said Steed's holly,
Yes.
but Lucas recommended Nellie Stevens. I can't remember exactly why. Are you familiar with both?
I am. The reason for Steeds was just because of the size, just to be sure that it was going to kind of blend in and it'd be shorter than what's planted there now. With Nellie, the other thing I was trying to avoid was it spilling over onto the sidewalk.
Okay. We can go back to the Steeds if that's what you recommend.
Yeah, but the Nellie
I
was
think
trying to.
I think where it came up is the one we took out here up at the community center entrance on the parking lot.
Mhm.
The other ones out there are Nellie Stevens. And so Lucas recommended replacing the one we took out with another Nellie Stevens.
Okay.
And
Right.
somehow that got us onto Nellie Stevens at the pier. But if you think Steeds is better, I'll get back with Lucas on that.
Well, as long as it's at least 5 feet away from the sidewalk. Otherwise, it's just going to be an item, a maintenance item to have to prune it to keep it away.
Right. Yeah. So you're saying Steeds doesn't get as big?
Correct. You're looking at, with Nellie, you're looking anywhere between 20 and 30 feet in height.
No, let's
10 to 12 feet wide.
Yeah, let's go back to Steeds. That makes more sense. So I'll get back in touch with Lucas on that.
Yeah, it's the Steeds is not as. I mean, I know why they would want to go, or they would recommend Nellie. I mean, Nellie will survive. But as far as for me, I just keep thinking of mature height and what it's going to do. And so with the Steed, you're looking at potentially 8 feet max by 4 feet width.
Okay.
So based on what I saw as far as that space, it seemed that it would be something that would kind of it fits in that space.
Yeah. Well, and I agree. We don't want to plant something here back there that's going to hide the pier again.
That's right. It'll have to be pruned. Yeah. If you do Nellie, it will have to be pruned.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. Julian, what do you think?
I always say what Will tells me on the trees. So trees and shrubbery, you got a ditto.
Okay. Thanks, Will. I appreciate your comments. On Ginger Lane cul-de-sac, we did pull out 2 or 3 diseased knockout roses, and we need to put something back in there. One of the requests we had was to put in muley grass and possibly some type of a flowering shrub. So we're probably looking at, with mulch and probably 5 plants, probably looking at less than $200. So would like a motion to approve up to $200 to replant the
So,
cul-de-sac on.
so we still need to get to that, so we need to get to the pole and we need to get to that, oh my gosh, I can't think of the name of it. That, the aqueduct that's there. So where, so the 200 would be for what exactly? To include the mealy
Well,
grass and,
Probably 5 shrubs planted around here and then some mulch.
okay, so not the mealy grass.
Yes. It would be
So
5
the
plants.
5 plants. Okay, so the 5, when you say plants, you're referring to mealy grass.
Probably 2 or 3 mealy grass and 2 or 3 flowering shrubs.
The shrubs, okay. Okay. So if that's done, they need to be fully and completely separated. So like mealy grass on one side and the bushes on the other side. It just, to me, it seems contradictory.
What would you recommend? All mealy grass or all shrubs or what?
I would do one or the other, not both.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking, mealy grass looks beautiful this time of year, but spring and summer, it's just green grass. So
Right.
my thinking was you could, if you put in some type of, and I'm mispronouncing, Weigela, which flowers, spring and summer on into the fall. You could have a mix of 3 mealy grass and 2 Weigela.
So, okay, yeah, you can do that. Do the mealy grass fully in the center. And then the Weigela, yeah, you can do all the way around because that's going to stay shorter.
Right.
Um,
Well, I was, when you say center, it's pretty hard to do something right in the center there with that manhole. How about if you did the mealy grass in the back and a couple of the Weigelias towards the front?
yeah, that's one way that since it's a cul-de-sac, yeah, to have the Weigela where as you're driving in, that's what the first thing you see, and have the mealy grass. You're right. Do that towards the back.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. Is there a motion to spend $200 replanting Ginger Lane cul-de-sac?
I'll make a motion.
And this is Julian, I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Will I?
Julian, aye.
Okay, the motion is carried. Thank you. Again, I appreciate your comments, Will.
Sure.
All right, last item on our agenda this evening is Knockout Roses. When we were doing some other work around Bobby Lane Pond, noticed that quite a number of roses over there had rosette disease. I then took a walk around Garden Pond and there were 15 roses, knockout roses around Garden Pond, and 12 of them had rosette. We had a resident on Ginger Lane that complained that her personal roses, not knockouts, but other roses, had rosette. And she said, well, I know where they came from. They came from the knockout roses in the center of the cul-de-sac. So at that time, I asked Lucas, go ahead. Will?
No, this is Will. I don't fully agree with that assessment. I mean, it's mites. So there's mites all over Lake Park. So it really comes down to whether or not we had knockout roses out there available that the mite is able to feed on. She would get it at some point in time, unless she is actively spraying it or applying some kind of 7 dust or applying some kind of counter agent. But it's already here now with us having the knockout rose, and as difficult as it has been with growth on mites this year, it's more than likely that everybody that's got a rose is going to see some effect of it. So if we don't want to get blamed for it, then might as well just get rid of it.
Well, I take that with a grain of salt that she blamed the knockout roses in the cul-de-sac for her particular roses. They could have come from 2 blocks away, with the, mites being carried on the breeze. But based upon what I saw there on Bobby Lane Pond and Garden Pond and Ginger Lane cul-de-sac, I, in the past week, did a complete survey of all our common areas and all the cul-de-sacs. And the net result of that is we've got about 120 knockout roses, and 60 of them have very visible signs of rosette. In some cases, the rosette has actually killed the plant. In other cases, it's probably going to. And in my opinion, the 60 that don't have it or don't have very visible signs are soon going to get it.
They're next. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
next.
So just for budgetary discussion, I asked Lucas, and I used the number 100. I said, what would we be looking at if we had to have you take out 100 knockout roses and replace them with some other type of flowering shrub? A couple examples being butterfly bush or weigela. They gave me a budgetary number of $5,000.
That's removing and planting.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, we didn't budget for this, but in looking at our detailed budget, under park maintenance, we did plan on over $3,000 for watering trees, which we did not have to use. So we do have
we
some
only
money
did
there.
we
Yeah,
only
one
did one
time.
watering.
Yeah, so we still have about $3,000 left there. We do have some money for cul-de-sac improvements. Although there were only about 10 of the knockouts in cul-de-sacs. There are 10 knockouts around Matheson Square, but they're yellow knockouts, and they don't, from what I could see, they don't appear to have rosette at this time. They may very well get it, but so that might be 10 that we could leave. So we're probably looking at pretty close to 100 of knockouts that we should probably consider taking out. And then I would also say that not all of them, all of those locations, do we want to plant another shrub, because they're pretty well crowded in some cases. So we probably could reduce the number of new shrubs that we plant. It might be 80 or 90, but we're still in the ballpark, I think, looking around $5,000 if we undertake this project. So wanted to put that out there for your thoughts on that.
I think we would need to make a detailed punch list of where these are going. being removed and where they're being put back if we ever take that.
Got it.
One thought.
So, I mean, you're looking at 100 plants for removal and planting of something else is about $50 a plant.
Correct.
And if that's reduced even further where there's already crowding, and yeah, that would even be better. So you remove the source for the mites to go eat, they're going to find something else. So just be ready for that, that conversation, because they're going to go feed on something else. So they're going to move from those locations onto people's properties. But again, it's nothing. The other option would be to treat all these plants, and I think it's just way too involved, and the results are very spotty to begin with anyway. So I would vote for just getting rid of them
Well,
and replanting something else.
The goal would be that when you remove the plant, you remove the mite with it. Although some of them are going to fall off or fly off. I don't know that they fly. I think they get carried in the wind and contact more than anything.
Well, it's not the mite itself. It's the virus that the mite is transporting from plant to plant.
Correct.
So as far as the plant goes, you know, I'm not so worried about the mite. I'm more worried about if these start shedding all the leaves, that those leaves are removed. You know, that they rake up and actually remove as much, if not all, of the leaves that are in that site, because they will get infected.
Right. Judy?
Comment. The $5,000 covers removal and replacement.
Correct.
Okay, this is planting time. You're putting in new material, it needs to be watered for X number of, does this include the watering? Because that's a lot of hands-on follow-up.
No, it does not include watering, but if they're planted this time of year,
You're assuming they won't need water.
we're assuming they won't need water, that there'll be enough rain through the winter. I mean, you'd be looking at a huge budget to water 100 plants, and we've never done that in the past.
But it's a possibility
Yeah.
that we could get a dry, we've had
Sure.
a really wet spell.
Sure.
It's just
It's a possibility, yes.
crazy year.
Yeah.
So
Bill, I don't know.
I'm assuming as far as the locations of these roses, that their intention to begin with was more of a aesthetic. So, yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to send you a list of some other plants, you know, hardy material, just to kind of break things up a little bit. You know, I know we've been using the Stillen quite a bit, and there's other things, and see if Lucas can find some of these other plants, and just kind of. This is one of the things that I mentioned to homeowners that we do tree replacement with, is that if they choose one plant only, they risk losing all that plant if there's a mite, an insect, a disease, a virus that comes in from someplace else. So the better approach would be to mix it up.
Yeah, we had a good speaker at Garden Club a few months back that recommended that you mix a certain percentage of different varieties of plants. You remember that?
I do.
Yeah, Will was our speaker, but and I agree completely that, you know, if we don't want to put in 100 butterfly bushes and 2 years from now have some kind of butterfly disease that wipes out all the butterfly bushes. So some variety and a couple of just, you know, possibilities I just threw out there were butterfly bush and Weigela. Thinking we'd like to have some.
Those two are good.
Yeah, and maybe some third type that we could add in there, or fourth type, mix it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so anyway, we did not budget for it, but I think between the money we have in the watering portion of our budget, and we've got some miscellaneous funds in our park maintenance. I do think we can come up with the $5,000 if it's the desire of the commission to proceed with this project.
My opinion is if we're going to do it, I need to jump on it rather quickly. So we've got 5 months before summer.
Yeah. Well, the earliest we can do anything is after council would approve this November 10th or thereabouts, I think.
Yeah. That's still plenty of time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would entertain a motion to proceed with removing the knockout roses and finding replacements in the price range of $5,000 for.
Yeah, I'll make a motion as well, and I'll send you a list of some plans
Okay.
a list that can be provided to Lucas to see if they can come up with some of these other ones as well.
Okay. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
This is Julian. I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Will I?
Aye. Julian, aye.
Motion is carried, and this will have to go to council. All right. Any other issues that we would like to discuss this evening before we adjourn? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
This is Will. I'll make a motion.
Will has made the
This
motion.
is
Is there a second?
Julian. I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Will I?
Julian, aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.